had so much going on. I'm trying to get more into the Christmas spirit. There was nothing special about that time of the year. Honestly, it was really hard to see people so willing to help. Oh my goodness, I'm actually getting a little emotional here. Hey, it's Izzy and what's been busy. Welcome back to my YouTube channel. Happy holidays, everyone. I know this is going to be a very informative video. You all have been asking this question, and since we all know Christmas is literally not far. I mean, this year has gone by so fast, and I know for us, since we have been in this situation for so long, I thought it would be kind of interesting to give some details to you all about like how we have dealt with the holidays. What is the holidays like for us? Because people always ask. So welcome to Holidays and Homeless. Firstly, how do we celebrate during these times? Well, the short answer is we don't. We don't really celebrate. This is the first time in years that we're even making an effort to actually celebrate, hence the festive wear. I have my beret on, and thank you so much to Busy Bee that literally gave this to me. But I'm trying to get more into the Christmas spirit because we haven't really been in it. We haven't experienced that type of joy, like everyone's saying Merry Christmas and have a Happy New Year, but it's not the happiest time of the year, unfortunately. So I wanted to kind of give some information about what we've been doing during Christmas. I know I can't speak on behalf of everybody that has been homeless, but I feel like most of the time the situations are pretty much the same, where it's a lack of finances, a lack of support to really enjoy this time. Every year, I will say since 2021, it has been something where we haven't been able to really catch a break, to be honest, which has made celebrating a little bit difficult. You may see me pop in a few times, but I just want to say Christmas was not difficult because it was just all about the gifts and all about watching a Christmas movie or listening to a bunch of Christmas songs. Like even us, you guys already know, we don't even actually watch a lot of TV, and we're not really into secular music. That's just a personal choice. So Mariah Carey was out of the equation for Christmas already. But I would say the reason Christmas is a little bit more difficult to take into account is because it's the end of the year and all these life events start to stick out like a sore thumb. You really have to now sit down and reflect on your life. Like, I know I wasn't sad when my dad kicked me out, but now saying it out loud and having to say these things to people, it makes me realize how sad this all is. Like, I was watching the footage of this video and I'm like, wow, this is pretty sad, because it just sounds so pathetic and just unfortunate when you're talking about my teenage years. But at the end of the day, this is my story, and I want to show you all how far we have come, or even how far I have come, you know, with this whole journey. I was kind of surprised in this video that I was quite emotional because, for one, anybody that knows me knows that I'm not really emotional, especially in comparison to other girls and just being a teenager. And two, I have pretty good coping mechanisms. Like, I can handle things pretty well, especially with the full armor of God. I can take a pretty good beating, okay? So I am not sensitive whatsoever, but it just goes to show that even as a Christian, these feelings can still come our way. Christians can still have strong emotions towards things and even have negative feelings come their way, and that doesn't stop even though we serve an amazing God. If anything, it just makes life easier because we know His word, we know the promises that He has for us. But I just thought that was interesting, and I know that even when I'm feeling a certain way, I will let Jesus know everything. I am willing to cry it out if I feel like those emotions are coming. But I hope you all still enjoy the video and learn a lot more about me. I hope the video isn't too sad, but just know it was a little different than maybe some of my other content. For example, I talked about this in my first episode, but my grandfather died literally before Christmas. In 2021, we unfortunately lost him, and we have still been in this position where now Christmas comes around and we're like, oh, you know, he's not here. Since he used to visit us all the time, that was a very special time for us. And so 2021 was the first year where we did not have him for Christmas. Since 2021, I will say Christmas has always been a little different because I was getting a little bit older, and of course with our grandfather dying, that did affect how we looked at Christmas. That was a very special time for us to really see him during the holidays, and now he wasn't there. And it's so interesting how we became homeless in 2022 in February, which, oh my goodness, we will be hitting 4 years of homelessness, which is just so wild to me, honestly, that it's been almost 4 years of kind of going through this. So when we celebrate that year, we did have a tree, we had gifts, we had great food, but it definitely felt different. And in 2022, we became homeless, and I think we honestly became homeless because we didn't have that support anymore. It's so interesting how a person could just be gone, and now you are left with the damage, you know, of that person really missing in your life. I felt like Poppy really did a lot for us, and when he died, we didn't have that support anymore. He was pretty much the only one that really supported us. I remember when he died, I said it's like a cousin, an auntie, a uncle, a grandma died all in one, because he kind of encompassed our whole family. It was pretty sad, and even when Christmas time comes around, I will say at least the triplets, they are definitely more sad. Everyone starts really thinking about all those memories, and I try not to get caught up in grief. I do feel like God has really comforted me during those times, but I will say I still miss him. Of course, I still think about him all the time, and I think about what he would say about our whole situation and what he would do, what would he think, you know, about me learning Chinese, all these amazing things happening in my life. And it is unfortunate that he isn't here anymore. But yes, we became homeless right after he died, and so the first year of just homelessness, we experienced a little bit of everything. Living in a car, living outside, it was a lot already the first year, and of course dealing with a lot of family drama. We had so much going on. The first year of Christmas was weird because we had some family support, so to speak. My grandmother on my mother's side offered for us to stay at her place. She made it seem like she really wanted to help us, but in the end, I just felt like the enemy was using her to destroy us, and she didn't really care about us either, unfortunately. And people think like you did something, like you had to cause havoc, and it's like, no, we didn't do anything to these people, but they just make these choices to be extremely destructive. She said a lot of hurtful things to us. Every day there was drama with her. I'm not even going to go into detail right now about the things she said, but let me just say, like my mom, for example, my mom has dealt with a brain tumor, for example, and I haven't shared this yet because I really wanted my mom to tell her story in the family Q&A, but my grandmother made some horrible comments about her own daughter, and I thought that was so strange. Like, she said, oh, something's wrong with my mother because she had a brain tumor, and it's like, who says that to someone? And she was doing a lot. She was finding every way possible to actually get us out of her home. Now, she took out an eviction notice on us, and CPS was involved in our situation at the time, and they were rooting for her. They were encouraging this. They were like, yes, you should get back your home. This is your home. Now, mind you, our situation is still not even improving whatsoever. Yes, we were living with her, and we finally had a roof, which we were just so grateful that we had somewhere safe, so to speak, to go. But it was odd, you know, the way we were living. We were all in a 2-bedroom mobile home, so of course she had her bedroom, and then we were all in one room. And because she didn't really have any furniture, she didn't have anything to give us, we all just slept on a hard floor. So for months, because we went there, you know, around fall time, I would say, all up until winter, of course, before she evicted us. But we stayed there for months, and let's just say when you're sleeping on the hard floor, you start to get a lot of pain. And I tried so hard not to complain. I would literally pray and ask God to help us to not complain during these times, because it's like, look, this is what we have right now, at least it's a roof. But yes, we were actually sleeping on a hard floor, and all we had was like a blanket over us, but we didn't have anything else. And even the way we were living there, I look back and it was just so scarce. Everything was scarce because my dad stopped paying child support right around Christmas time. Once again, it was not a great time. I know for me, the first year Christmas even came around, I forgot it was even Christmas, because at that point we were getting evicted and we stayed at a hotel. I just couldn't even think about Christmas time. You know, there definitely wasn't any Christmas music, Christmas movies, nothing to really make you think about Christmas. And that's when I realized, like, oh wow, you actually do a lot of work to get into the Christmas spirit, so to speak, to get excited about Christmas, because that was something I was, of course, always excited about. If anything, I felt really bad for the triplets because we couldn't really do anything. The only thing we did is we bought a few things like at the Dollar Tree. Well, someone else ended up buying a few things for us at the Dollar Tree. They just ended up being a blessing. That's honestly another story for another time. But we did buy a few things that were on sale. We bought like a clay set, we bought some paint, we were going to do some activities during Christmas, but of course she ended up kicking us out, so we didn't even end up doing like this little clay activity that we have planned. If you're asking us what we did in 2022, well, we sat on the bed, we turned on Joseph the Dreamer, ate some popcorn, and that's how we celebrated Christmas. I never celebrated a Christmas like that before, and my parents aren't rich by any means. Of course, they've had financial struggles, but we always had something, like something that indicated, oh, it's Christmas time. Even if you get that one present, it still was very special. There was nothing special about that time of the year. It was really hard. When Christmas came, I was honestly thinking about all that had happened that year, and a lot was going on. I remember even that day, it felt like a normal day. Didn't feel anything, and that was the first time that I realized, like, wow, this is really depressing. I can really see how people get depressed during this time. I truly can, because that was a eye-opening moment for me, where I would realize, like, if you don't have that family support, if you don't have people around you that love you and care about you and making that time very special, or you don't even have money to make it special for yourself, it's a little depressing. It's quite depressing, and the only way to get through that is honestly through a lot of prayer. I remember asking the Holy Spirit to comfort us during these times and to think about Jesus, honestly. Like, I guess when we became homeless, I really started realizing how important Jesus is in our lives. And we always say Jesus is the reason for the season, but I felt like I really had to hold on to Jesus. Like, he truly was the only reason for the season. I don't think if I wasn't a Christian that I would have been able to get through that. That was pretty terrible. So then the next year rolls around, we have 2023, and 2023 we're still struggling, we're bouncing from hotel to hotel, and at one point we really thought we were actually going to get stability, because we finally found a hotel that fit within our price range. But once again, we find this hotel, we're thinking we're gonna start getting jobs because we're getting child support consistently, and we're like, perfect, it matches everything, it has everything and more that we need. It's affordable, it's not the best, but at least it's a starting point, because we really needed a starting point to like build up so we can get out of the situation. My dad stops paying child support once again right around that time of like August, October, November, December, and we were back to the same old situation where we had nowhere to go. I feel so bad for the people who were working there, because my dad called us and he just said it outright. Like, he made it clear, I'm not paying you child support. I don't want to pay child support. That's not something I'm interested in. I don't want to be bothered with paying you child support. Like, I heard the whole phone call. He didn't want to do it. And what that ended up doing for us was putting us in a position where we were in a hotel, but then we were back on the curb, in a hotel, back on the curb, in a hotel, back on the curb, because he would sometimes give child support and we might have been able to pay for something. And of course, with winter and in Michigan, we were living in Michigan at the time, it was so cold. Oh my goodness, it was so cold out there. And it actually got to a point where the staff was just like, please just stay in the room, we can figure out something a little later, because they just kept seeing us get in and out, get in and out. And that hotel did not have an elevator, and we had a lot of stuff, so we were bringing up heavy luggages at the time up the stairs, and that was a lot as well. We became really sore after that. And that's why people ask, like, why do you have all these backpacks? Because the backpacks are a lot easier to maintain, because the suitcases have been a huge issue for us. And once again, how are you supposed to think about Christmas during that time? I mean, think about it. We are just like trying to survive. We're just trying to get food, get a roof over our head, maybe get a job, but it's like, how are you supposed to think about Christmas? We did not celebrate that year. I'll say that year was a little bit better, because eventually we just told the staff, like, outright, like, we don't have anything else. We don't know what to do. We don't know how we're going to keep the hotel. So they call this specific program that helps pay for hotels, and they were paying for our hotel like right before Christmas. This is why I don't like when people say, like, if you're living in a hotel, you're not homeless, because that is not true. Just because someone's in a hotel, that doesn't mean they're not getting assistance. I mean, we literally had to go through a program just to get a roof, because we had no money for food, we had no money for extra necessities, we had nothing. We were still homeless. Like, I would say there are different levels to homelessness, but like, you're really at the bottom when a program has to like pay for pretty much everything because you don't have anything. We had nothing to give, and it wasn't just us. There was like 20 other families they were paying for. Like, people are really struggling out here. So I never like when people say, like, if you're living in a hotel, you're not homeless, which is just not true. So for us, if it wasn't about abuse, it was always now not having a roof, or a little bit of both. And during the Christmas time, we would always have a lot of toxic people, like I mentioned my grandmother earlier, or my dad, and they would just sabotage. That you could just tell the devil wanted us to fall, and he wanted us to fall hard. That year was a little bit better, 2023, because once we went through the program, we were introduced to some volunteers, and they were trying to help out a little bit. But it was like, how can you even think about Christmas when once again you just have so much going on? We did get a few items. A volunteer gave us a few things, which was just really nice, and we weren't gifted with anything in like a long time, but I didn't get that like Christmas feel. You guys, Christmas was so low-key that I was studying Chinese. That's literally me. I was studying on the holidays. Like, just to put it into perspective, Christmas is basically any normal day. It's not anything spectacular, it's nothing special. You just be thankful for what you do have. I would say for Christmas, I celebrate other things in my life. When Christmas rolled around, I think the best way I started to like really cope with it and recognize how to make Christmas a little bit better was to celebrate things in a different way. Honestly, celebrate other aspects of my life. I'm not saying you have to ditch the presents, I'm not saying you have to ditch the tree, but what I learned is that you don't need a tree to celebrate things. You don't need a nice cooked meal to celebrate. I started celebrating life just in general. I started celebrating, oh my goodness, just thinking about Jesus dying on the cross for all of our sins. Like, we get to have eternity because of what he did, and just celebrating those milestones. I'm happy that at least I'm celebrating with someone else. Like, yes, we all may be going through this, but at least we're going through it together. We can laugh together, we can cry together, we can be happy together. I think that makes things a lot easier, and we genuinely try to just bond during this time. We want to always remember one another, cherish each other, because you never know what could happen. And it made me more thankful, and I know in the future, just going through all of that, I know one day I want to help other people, because I feel really bad for the triplets. If anything, yes, I was 15, but at least I was able to look back and say, wow, I did this at 7, 8, or 9. Unfortunately, with the triplets, they became homeless in 2022, so they were 8. The triplets were 8 at the time. They haven't been able to celebrate Christmas, but I was thinking as well of the future, like one day we could have great Christmases. Like, don't think this is the last time you can celebrate Christmas. One day God will improve the situation, and I just pray to God that we will be able to have a wonderful Christmas. But I learned to really not put my trust in that one day. But I will say a downside is my perspective of celebrating has changed drastically. You all know, like, I have been making money on the platform, so I am monetized. I have, of course, dabbled in some sponsorships. Now, I will put it out there, it can take a while to get these payments. You guys, some of these sponsorships, I may not see that money for months to come. So it's not like, oh, you do the job, then you immediately get paid. I am waiting still for quite a bit of my money to actually come from my different streams of income, but that's like another story for another day. And yes, I have been able to spend some money, but I noticed when Christmas came around, my mom and I were talking about like celebrating, and there was an apprehension to even celebrate because my perspective of just celebrating things has changed a lot. I guess since we have been in this position and now that I'm making money, I just want to hold on to all of it. I want to kind of clarify some things because I guess people don't really know how we handle finances. So when it comes to money that I make, my mom doesn't touch any of that money, and the reason for that is that she does not want to dabble into my money. She feels like I've worked for it and she wants it to go to better things in the future. She even said, she's like, I don't want all your money just go into a hotel. And she knows how hard I work on these videos and how much I film and edit for you all and other projects that I'm working on, but she tells me all the time, like, that is your money, I want you to use it, I want you to enjoy it, I want you to spend it. And of course I do follow a protocol, so I have always been taught to give a little, save a little, and spend a little. So yes, I give my 10%, I save a lot of money for also taxes and just other things, and I get to spend a little. And when it came time to spend, I didn't even want to spend the money. Like, I just wanted to put it all into savings. I guess the main reason for that was because we have been in positions where we think we have money for something, like, oh, you finally paid off everything and you think you can finally use it for something else. Let's say we went to buy some Tide that was like $5, but what eventually happens is that $5 costs so much in the long run. All it took for us, at least, was to be $2 short and we couldn't pay for the hotel. Yes, we have been in situations like that, and I think mentally witnessing all of that and seeing how like every penny really counts, it has made me a little bit more apprehensive, and I'm not as willing to spend as much as I used to. And when I say spend as much as I used to, I would at least give myself a certain amount to really enjoy, and I just haven't been in that mood to really spend. We have been in such a specific situation that has caused us to live a very minimalistic lifestyle. Now when the time comes around to spend it, like, yes, I'm willing to spend it on things that are, I would say, a little bit more important. Like, I have used it on my braces. I am currently paying for my own braces, but I feel like that is also kind of more of a medical thing. I know it's not considered medical, but I like to treat it that way because having an overbite and having a back tooth has caused me to have issues eating at times and even brushing my teeth. It has been a hindrance. So therefore, when I am investing my money into that, I feel like I'm investing in my health and my well-being, and in the end having a very pretty smile. To me, that is worth spending. But when it comes to like Christmas, I don't know, mentally it's been like, to think that I spent all my money on that one day, there is some concern there, and I really don't want to be a Scrooge. I don't want to look at these times as a burden. In a way, when I was talking to my mom, I started realizing how I felt.
I just want to come in and say that this is not just for Christmas. I kind of feel that way across the board, whether it's a wedding day, like a honeymoon, you know, celebrating a birthday. To me, it feels like, why would I spend all that money throwing myself a birthday party or spend it all into a wedding day when I could have saved that money and made more of a long-term investment? And I think this really stems from losing everything, because when we were in South Carolina, for example, my mom had 2 jobs. She was working really hard to buy all this new stuff in our new place, and 5 years later, 4 years later, 3 years later, we have nothing to show for it. It feels like it was a complete waste of time. And so it's the same thing with celebrating an event. Like, what is the point in putting all that time into it when I could have saved that money, because in my mind, it feels like I don't have anything physically to show for it. And for me, I would rather invest it maybe in buying my mom a house or investing into a business, going to college. To me, that seems more long term, but I want to really challenge myself to change that mentality, because it's not bad to celebrate things. It's really nothing wrong with enjoying yourself, and the whole point of living this life is to celebrate life. And at the end of the day, it really is just to build more memories, because then when I grow up, I'm gonna see like, oh, I never had a wedding day, or I never had a baby shower, or I never had parties for myself for my birthday. Like, all these things come up later on in the future, and I think that can be another form of regret. And I wouldn't say I'm traumatized, but I knew with this journey that I was gonna have to be more aware of my perspective. It can really go both ways. You have people who pick one side because of the traumatic events they experience. With homelessness in this case, I could be on one side where now I want to just spent a lot of my money, because as soon as I have received a paycheck, I felt like I haven't spent anything. And now you have people who are kind of addicted to shopping or addicted to building up this lifestyle because they have missed out for so long. Or you have the other side where there is just more of a poverty mindset, where now they're not willing to spend anything because they're scared they're going to get right back in that same position, and they're fearful of losing the money. And that's just something you have to really learn, with this life. Everything has to be balanced 24/7, because it's not healthy to pick one side. Just know that I am okay. I'm just expressing how I'm feeling in this moment, and I'm aware that we're going to be making changes. I just know that God is really revealing some of these things to me, and now He is using that to make me more aware of my actions and to pray upon these things and pray over my family. But I am okay.
I didn't even know that was in my heart, and this is why I really like to talk things out, because your heart is really important, of course, in God's eyes, and I like to examine even myself all the time. In the Bible, it says, when you are talking and when you are speaking, that's not just out of thin air. That is flowing from your heart. When I was talking to her, I did kind of have like a negative idea of Christmas, because in my mind, it feels kind of like a waste when I personally feel like there's nothing to really celebrate. I don't want to be in a position where I spend all that money on something, and then in the end, that new handbag isn't going to get me out of it. So I'm really trying to change my mindset and pray upon that, because I don't think that's healthy to a certain extent, but there are just certain things I'm not willing to put my money in, and I feel like I should be willing to do that. So when it comes to helping my family out, I'm willing to give. Or even like me starting a business. Recently I announced I'm starting a business. God has really put it on my heart to open up a business when it comes to art, especially since I'm a Christian. I know there's not a lot of kingdom businesses, as they call it, and I want to be in the mix of that. And the only reason I did that though was because I felt like God was telling me to do it. So it shows that I'm willing to give my money, I'm willing to spend it on certain things. But when it comes to, like, I guess giving my money to my own self, like, that's where the problem lies. So that has been, I'd say, the downside. Is just like mentally you're in a different spot and you see the other side, and it's like once you see it you can't unsee it. And thankfully I'm really in a position where my mom is like not greedy. She really wants me to use it towards my future, and she's just exceptional. She's really exceptional. Hear story after story of parents running off with the money versus me. I'm able to have my own bank account and manage the money and budget the money accordingly, and I just don't want to be haphazard with my money. I hope in the future I can have a better perspective about Christmas. For those wondering, how are we celebrating Christmas this year? Well, we had some goals. We were really trying to find a home before Christmas, because you all know we have the GoFundMe up. We wanted that money to go to our big Christmas gift, right, where we would be able to spend that money and get a home. Unfortunately, everything that we have done on our end has failed, and the Lord's just not opening up that door at this time. But we're hoping in 2025 that we'll be able to say we have a home. That is ultimately the goal. I'll be really shocked if we say we're 5 years into homelessness. No. This year is a little odd because it's like, yes, we have resources or we have money, but at the same time we kind of don't. And what I mean by that is we don't have the budget to spend on Christmas specifically. Like I was even telling the triplets, you know, maybe we have to wait till like January or February, because like I even said, even if I want to spend money on Christmas gifts, my paychecks don't really come in till months later. So if I even want to budget accordingly, I'm gonna have to wait till all that money comes in, which is going to be in 2025. Then yes, we have money like from the GoFundMe, but that's not money to buy Christmas gifts. So yes, we have kind of been in a situation where we haven't spent any money on like Christmas. This year, we are trying to be more aware of it. More than likely for Christmas, we're gonna eat some chicken and rice probably, and we're going to enjoy the trees that we have. I'm gonna show you these wonderful trees that the triplets made. Here is the tree, you guys. This tree is so cute. They made this by hand. It's literally a work of art. It's a work of art. I'm just so proud of them. Like, they're really talented. They have followed in my footsteps. They all want to be artists, and just like, getting a little emotional. They're growing up so fast. But this is the tree they made. All of them made this, and when I saw this, it definitely lifted up my spirit a little bit. Like, it just makes me happy when I see it, because I know, oh, the triplets made that. But this isn't the first tree they made. This is really the second one. Let me show you the first one. This was the first tree. Initially, I thought this was going to be the only tree, but they decided to make another one. This one is made out of Legos. You guys, Zoe made this. Zoe is the baby of the family, so we call her Baby B. So Baby B, we all have B names since we're doing the YouTube channel. Baby B made this for us. It is adorable. You guys, call her a Lego master builder because she made everything so perfectly. Like, how is the star moving? She's able to, we can move the star a little bit. Like, honestly, this is adorable. And there was no tutorial. No ma'am, no tutorial whatsoever. She figured this out on her own. So yes, they made that, and we've been keeping it in the corner of our desk. So even currently now, I have like some gifts that you all gave us around the tree. So we have gifts. This year, this is the first year in a long time like receiving things that we wanted, because we have a Amazon wish list. For those that have wondered, we do have a Amazon wish list for that. I wasn't initially thinking of even making a wish list period, but when people were requesting for it, I completely once again forgot about Christmas at the time. So when I asked for like recommendations, people were saying, oh, you should make a Christmas wish list. And it's like, oh, people want to buy us Christmas gifts, which is just literally so sweet. So I am thinking maybe when Christmas rolls around, I can do what I got for Christmas to just really thank you all. Every day I'm living life and I'm like, wow, this is really happening. This is really happening. I will say this year, I'm really trying to stay positive. I'm really trying to just think about the Lord during these times. And once again, something happened this year, you guys. I thought for sure this would be the first year we'd have no drama, no issues, but no, recently we have been going through this modification process with the child support. We have been going through this for 2 years, you guys, but now they are finally making steps to make my dad pay, and they had a set amount. They told us what they wanted him to pay, and I actually saw the amounts. Like, I was able to see firsthand what they were expecting him to pay and how much he was making. And recently, my mom has had to go to a hearing because my dad has made it clear that he's not willing to pay the amount that they established. He doesn't feel like he should pay it, and his excuse was because he has my older sister. You know, my older sister is living with him, so his eldest daughter needs support. You guys, she is going to be turning 20 in March, and to say that he can't pay child support for the rest of his kids and he can only pay for her, I thought he had something else in mind, but hearing that was just baffling. During the hearing, that the reason he can't pay child support is mainly because he has to take care of his adult daughter. So I thought this year we wouldn't have to hear from them. I have been over it over it all, like having to deal with the family. And I have mentioned this to my mom before, but like the way people have treated us has been worse than the homeless situation itself. I feel like the homeless situation was 10 times worse, mainly because people's attitude towards us wasn't healthy whatsoever. And you would think with minors involved, people would be more empathetic, and we have not received any of it. So yes, even now this year, unfortunately, we have had to get that in order. And it's like the same thing once again I was talking about earlier, where we just haven't been able to catch a break, and these things make you go back into reality. I'm thinking maybe in 2025 we'll have a better Christmas. I'm really believing that 2025 is going to be a year of restoration. I have just already seen God's hand involved in all this. I'm not going to even worry about the child support thing, to be honest. I'm just going to let God do his thing, fight on our behalf. But it's just interesting. Honestly, it reminds me a lot of like the homeless Q&A, where a lot of people were saying it's so sad. And I'm not trying to make you all feel this way, but I'm trying to really shed light on these things, because I know this is the time of the year where everyone's thinking, wow, everyone else gets to put up a tree, everyone else gets to have this wonderful meal, everyone else. And I don't want people to feel alone in this, because I felt really alone. It almost felt as if the whole world was able to move on with their lives and we were just stuck. We were the only ones. And I think when I make these videos, it really showcases that we're not the only ones. And I want you all to remember that there are other people who are going through things. They're just not bold enough to share it on the platform. But I want to be that buddy for you all and be raw and real and showcase the reality of our lifestyle, that life is not always what it's cracked up to be. And I know with social media it can be very difficult to think about life in a different way when on social media it's something completely different. The only reason we're even able to celebrate this year is because of you all. Like, thank you so much for buying things off of our Amazon wish list. Like, people have already bought some things off of our Christmas wish list, and let me just say, I am astonished. I am so humbled, so grateful. I think there's just so much gratitude when you haven't experienced having those things for so long, and to see people so willing to help. Oh my goodness, I'm actually getting a little emotional here. I'm getting a little emotional. Oh my goodness. I guess just seeing so many people willing to help, willing to aid, willing to give. I want one day, I want someone else to be able to feel that way. I want someone else to feel the way that I do. And that's why I believe in the future I'm gonna really advocate for people who have been in my situation, because I never imagined people being so willing to give, because we of course have just seen people be so cruel to us. And now that there has been so much love and support, I want to give back. I'm so excited when I get to do that for my own community, for my own people, and just really advocate for homelessness. Like, God is not bringing me up just to leave everybody behind. That is not happening. God is bringing me up so I can bring others up with me. And it's so sad, but I'm just gonna have to say it, like, especially in the Black community, you already know, like, people are just not as supportive. I don't know if other races really understand that, but that's how it is in the Black community, where people are just not as supportive. It's pretty common even in my situation. You have deadbeat dads. Like, it's not a fun time. And just all the emotions that I'm feeling right now, I want to be able to give someone else that piece of the pie. I want not only God to bless me, but to bless others. So thank you so much. I was not expecting to get a little emotional there, but I'm gonna end the video here. I really hope that this video was informative for you all, to give you all some ideas on our situation and how maybe you can be more helpful to others. Show compassion, please. Even when it comes to Christmas time, it's not even always about getting gifts, but I think it's about being seen. Like, I know I felt incredibly small, just so small, because everyone acts like you don't exist. And I think just supporting those who are around you, even if they're not homeless, but just making sure you're giving love to those who are there for you, that are supporting you. Because even though I don't have like my dad, or I don't have my older sister who's with me, I'm always thinking about how I have my amazing family. I have the triplets with me, I have my twin and my mom, who is just so extraordinary. So please love on those that are around you. Never take that for granted. I hope you all have a wonderful time this year. I'm gonna keep you all in my prayers, and just remember that even if you're not able to celebrate during this time, remember that Jesus is with you, and ultimately he is the best gift you will ever receive. When I accepted Jesus into my heart, I can't even imagine my life without him. So remember that you're not less than if you can't celebrate Christmas. You're not forgotten about. You are loved by the Alpha and Omega, and his love is infinite, and he can just fill you up. He can comfort you. If you ever need anyone, he's right there. Make sure to like, comment, share, and subscribe, and I'll see you guys in my next video. Bye.